So it's amazing how, making that connection for us is really important, for having that moment where we do take time for ourselves. And a lot of times, especially those who are of service, those who are givers, we don't take the time to listen to our body. We take care of our body like, a car with three wheels, and then
Right?
just the wheels are just falling off, and we actually will take better care of our cars before we take care of ourselves. It's almost, to me, in a sense of values, of how we value ourselves, understanding that we can't do anything that is purposed in our lives or what we're called to do if we don't take care of ourselves. So
It's
that,
true.
I mean, that's a realization I had to do for myself. So yes, we have to take care. It comes across sometimes selfish. See, we'll look at it as being selfish, when in reality, you can't take care of any destiny. You can't get to a destiny without taking care of yourself,
It's so
right?
true.
It's
It's
kind of hard to take a trip with three wheels.
and speaking to that, I think that I put myself in last place. But today I see myself as I'm a priority, people are a priority, my family's a priority, and I let myself move in between those priorities. It's flexible, and I'm
Hmm.
not stuck with thinking everybody else is more important and I can wait.
Or vice versa.
Uh-huh. Hmm. Very true. So
So, so when it comes to what inspired you and what driven you to help serve, in what way do you serve your clients?
I serve my clients partly because of my own experience. I don't want
Hmm.
anybody else to suffer like I did, and I don't want them to suffer any longer than they already have. So I help them really just unpack the negative beliefs that
Hmm.
they don't even know, because we accept them as that's our story, that's the truth, that's what happened. Well, in fact, it's the thing that's keeping you sort of stuck, sort of held captive, sort of in an unhealthy place, however you want to look at that. And so when we look at it, and you give a person space to explore that, and you help them connect the dots, it's like, oh, that's like part of the package. They have this aha moment. They're like, oh, okay, I see it. And then I say, so look, I can't do anything for you other than lead you to this place
Hmm.
with God. And most of the time, I just I say, here's a question you can ask God. And I'm going to let you have a moment where you just ask Jesus a question. You just ask God a question. And then you listen, or you pay attention to what passes through your mind's eye. Or maybe you feel some comfort. And I regularly put my step out of the way and give God the space then. That's how I do it. And most of the time, I'll say about 97% of the time, you'll see women begin to cry as they let go of the belief,
Hmm.
the pain, and receive something significant for their own heart. And that to me is the most beautiful thing, because I'm not hustling. I'm
Yeah.
not putting myself in this position of being an authority. I just step back and I watch God do his thing. And I kid you not, it's pretty miraculous, but in a way that is super personal.
To the
So,
person. Mm.
yeah. And then after that, I just ask them, how are you feeling now? Most of the time they can say, oh, my guts aren't bothering me. My jaws are relaxed. My neck isn't bothering me. And I don't know how to describe it, but I just feel different. And if
It's,
that
it's almost like as if they feel like this weight has been lifted from their shoulders.
Yes, exactly. In truth, they'll notice more improvements and more changes like a week out, 2 weeks out. Because that time that they have with me, whether it be one session or 3 or 4 sessions, it just keeps, the more you walk into the wholeness, you're just like, what? I'm not doing those things anymore. It's not bothering me the way it used to. I feel more relaxed. I'm sleeping better. And I can be around people, and I'm not up in my head, that was my problem. I could be right in front of you, I'd still be up in my head.
In other words, being critical. You're saying you're being critical of yourself? Yeah. The voice, the inner voice.
I was being hypervigilant. I was measuring what I would say to make sure you couldn't criticize me. Yeah. And I think that's part of the inner critic, you know? So we all have that voice that says, you shouldn't, you're not. If you do that, you're going to blah, blah, they're going to blah, blah, blah. And so my hypervigilance went to this place of measuring my words and my actions and doing everything I could to try and avoid additional pain and scrutiny.
So you became very cautious, too careful, so careful that it became paralyzing and placed you in a place of stuckness.
Yeah. Paralyzing is an excellent word for it. So I was alive physically, but I was paralyzed in my thought life, emotionally, and my body was paying a price for it.
You can only imagine the response, the nerves, your nerves. I mean, your nerves had to be shot, like really just erratic. Yeah.
And for what it's worth, I actually did. I worked for doctors, and one of them was my family doctor. And she said to me, do you think you need something for your anxiety? And I cried. I said, I do, but I don't want to. But so for about 8 years, I did take something for anxiety, and I don't now. But I must be honest, I don't look at it as, oh, I'm good, I'm better. I recognize it as, I'm good now, but there might be something that happens in my future, and I might need help again.
Yeah, something that could just trigger that. And do you feel that it's connected to an experience or a trauma that happened in the past?
Sometimes. So when Corona happened, I was good. And then one morning I woke up after like about 2 months, and I wasn't good. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. But I had basically concocted this story. My business is just getting started. This ministry is just getting started. And now it's going to fail. And I was projecting into the future. So it was no longer the past. I was projecting into the future. And so I had come to the worst possible conclusion instead of a sustaining place of, I'll just take it one day at a time.
One day at a time.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Especially now it's so important for us to take it. I mean, yes, it's great to make those positive, for sure, positive stories for the future, a positive vision, right? It's a vision that we put in place for the future, but it is important also to take it one day at a time toward that future. If not, this is where, like you mentioned, the anxiety starts kicking in, the regrets, all of those things the emotion just start rushing in.
it's true. It's true.
And
Then one night I put my head on the pillow and I was just like, okay, God, we got to talk because I can't take this anymore. And we did, and it helped. And it actually was pretty significant. And the conclusion was if it does feel it's not about me, it's about what's happening in the world today. Lots of businesses are failing. And will that become a place where I define myself, or will I use it to help others?
I love that. That's a great statement.
So
So
things are
no, I love that because you found an opportunity among the challenges
Mhm.
versus matching and bandwagoning the challenge, because there will always be challenges. Yes, is it more than usual? Yes, it is. But there are still those opportunities that possibly that we, like as you mentioned, help someone. How do we help someone solve a problem? If anything, there's going to be a lot of problems. So how do we solve any one of those problems is going to be helpful to your future and that person's future.
exactly. So it won't be the
So
end of the world.
yeah,
It'll just be something different.
different,
Mhm.
different,
Yeah. And it
different
kind
is
of
the word for the day.
it kind of helps you become flexible and resilient. So I can
And
roll with,
resourceful.
yeah. I can
Yeah,
roll with it or I can resist it.
yeah. And we know what it feels like to resist sometimes, right? And resisting is not a lot of time the best way to handle a certain challenge. Rolling, we of course we have to be careful that we're not like, as they say the story. If you're a dead fish, you just go along with the stream. We're not talking about that type of rolling, but adjusting and as if sailing with the wind and still be able to pursue and your goals and your vision and your purpose is what you're meaning by rolling. Now, if you had to give some tips to the audience, um, what would you share with them as far as dealing with emotions and looking within for that inner critic and how to pause that inner critic so that you can continue doing great things and helping others and adjusting your life? What would you share with us?
I'd say be honest with yourself, acknowledge your pain, acknowledge that you're not all right, because that's the first step. You can't go anywhere if you're in denial. You can't change. You can't get help as long as you're in denial. So like think about it from the perspective of somebody has high blood pressure and they're having all these headaches. If they don't acknowledge that they're having a headache, they'll never go seek help from their doctor. The
Hmm.
same is true in our personal lives, in our thought lives, and in the situations we face. If we don't acknowledge it, it won't change. In fact, it might just get worse.